The next step you only need to complete if you're making your own bag straps. For this step, you're going to need a piece of cotton webbing, and then you're also going to need a piece of fabric to cover the webbing. The size of the fabric is noted on the pattern. There's two different sizes, one for 2 straps and one for 1 strap, but it tells you on the pattern what size to cut your fabric. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just take our cotton webbing and we're going to put it on the right side on the edge of our fabric. I do want to make a note really quick. At the store, they sell nylon webbing as well, which will work. The only problem with nylon webbing is that you can't press an iron directly to it. So you're gonna have to be super careful as you construct it that your iron never touches the nylon webbing, which is why I like to use the cotton instead. So then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and use a couple of binding clips just to secure this in place. And we're gonna sew down this edge. And we're gonna use what I would consider a scant 1/4 inch seam. So it's going to be a little bit less than a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to start right here on the top. I'm going to get my tray, so I'm going to put my clips. I'm going to go ahead and just start sewing. I'm just going to stitch all the way down. Now, before I go to the iron, I usually like to kind of finger press it first. I'm going to go ahead and press that. Now we're going to come over to the iron. And we are going to press this fabric all the way away from the edge. And I will even kind of use the iron to make sure it's all the way over. After you've done that, I'm going to show you on the mat, but normally I would just do this all on my iron. Pull that over like that. We're going to press it again. And the reason you want to make sure this is tight is so that you have enough fabric to completely wrap all the way around the edge of the strap. All the way over. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to come over here and we need to turn this raw edge under about 1/4 inch. And we're going to press that all the way down. All the way down there. Okay, now what you're going to do, you've got that pressed under, is we're just going to roll it. Roll it over. And get our binding clips back out. And we are going to pull this so that this is right at the edge, right there. And get that just right there in place. And you want to use quite a few clips because you want to make sure this is nice and secure. And if you get to a point where you feel like it's not going to cover all the way, you can kind of just with your fingers pull that seam open just a hair more. If I have a problem with this, I notice it's usually at the start and the stop. So I do try and make sure at the beginning that we get a good start on this. Okay, so now we're going to come over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew this down. When I sew this down, I actually like to have the folded side facing down because then the feed dogs on the sewing machine will help to feed that fabric through. So come over to the machine and we're going to come in probably 1/8 of an inch from the edge, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And I'm just gonna start right there and get it going. And then just stitch it down. And then so that it looks nice on both sides, even though we don't need to, we're gonna go ahead and stitch down the other side of the strap as well. Then last thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in and double check that I caught all of the fabric, which I did. A little tip, if you notice that there's a little part that you didn't catch, you can unpick it if you want, but you can also take a little piece of steam and just kind of glue it down. So if you're making a bag with one strap, you're done. If you're making a bag with 2 straps, you're gonna wanna go ahead and repeat the process again to make a second strap, and then we'll go ahead and attach the straps to the front of the bag.